what I have for y'all today is something pretty special to me. Anyways, it is my father's Boy Scout hatchet. My research indicates that this model Boy Scout hatchet was made from 1956 to 1961. It is the first year that they used Permabond, which is this red plastic-like substance. It's supposed to help eliminate swelling and loosening of the head. Also, it was, I think, the second model that they used the bevels here. It has genuine plum. See if I can get that to focus. Genuine plum here. And it was the second model that they reintroduced the fleur-de-lis, but without any wording. See if I can get that. There we go. My dad's used this quite a bit, so that fleur-de-lis is pretty worn down. I'm not going to be doing a full restoration or anything on this. This is the way he gave it to me, so I'm going to leave it. I have cleaned it with steel wool and WD-40, and I'll probably do another coat of boiled linseed oil on here. But what he's asked me to do is to make him a hatchet sheath. His sheath was worn and tethered and no longer holding together. So that's my plan. I'm going to cut out a pattern and start making the leather sheath. This is my first time making a hatchet sheath or axe sheath of any kind. I usually make wallets and knife sheaths, and I've learned that I want to leave trim allowance. So what I've done is I've hopefully left enough space that I can trim back to where I need it and still have enough for the flap to fold over. And this is one side. I'll make another side, but leave yourself enough room for trim allowance. You can always take away. You can't add to it. And if you spend all this time making patterns and cutting leather out and find that you didn't leave yourself enough, then you're gonna have to start all over and you've wasted leather, and it's not cheap nowadays. So I'm gonna finish making these patterns, cut them out, transfer them over to the leather, and continue. So what I have is, if I remember correctly, some 8-ounce Wicket & Craig English bridle leather. And that's what I'm making this sheath out of. I finished trimming this out, marking the holes for the rivets and the snaps, and I'll start to assemble it. So I have everything roughed in. As you can see, I did leave enough for trim allowance, and that's my next process. I'm going to come and trim everything out. I'm going to sand it smooth, bevel the edges, and this part and this part that fold over on each other, I'm going to skive them down so they're not as thick. Then I'll glue everything together and stitch it. Almost done. Now that I've got all the edges sanded, just a primary initial sanding, I'm going to go back and sand a little bit more to smooth them out. It folds the edges of the leather over, so I'm taking my edging tool and trimming that edge off. It helps give it a better look. Any edges that you can't get to after it's already after you put it together, you want to trim beforehand so that they'll look nice after the project's done. Like I said, if you can't get to it when it's riveted or stitched together, then you need to think about that before you put it together. I'm not a leather guru. It's just something I'm learning myself. I've done a lot of wallets and knife sheaths, but I've never done hatchet or axe sheath. This is my first one, and it's honestly been probably 8 months since I've even touched leather. So this is actually, I'm hoping it turns out good, but we will see. What I'm doing now is just giving a final finish sand to even out and smooth out all the edges. Like anything, the smoother and more uniform you get it, the better your end product's going to look. I usually take it to at least 600, and then I will hit it with a burnishing compound. I'll show you what I use here in just a second. Just sand your edges down. You may have to trim them again. I probably trimmed them prematurely, but I had to get a lot of the stragglers off so I could see what I was doing. Smooth it out as nice as possible. Taking your time to look and see what you got going on and make it nice. The more prep work you do, the better it's going to be in the end. I sanded and smoothed the edges to 400. If this was a wallet or something like that, I would have gone to a much higher sanding, probably 800 or so. But this is a rugged hatchet sheath. I use token oil. I like this stuff a lot. You can use water, you can use beeswax, but token oil will help seal it up. I used to just put it on with my finger, but I've got one of these little squeeze bottles and I added water to it and I just apply it. It goes on pretty easily. You want to be careful with it though, because it will stain the leather. Just want to get it on the edges that you're going to be working on. Gets on there, wipe it off. Let it set up for just a little bit, not too long, 45 seconds or so, minute. And then I'm going to grab a burnishing tool and work it in. The burnishing tool will help round the edges a little bit more. I messed up. I should have done this edge before I put it together. See here, I'm going to have a really hard time trying to get to that edge. You can use burnishing tool. This is canvas. I've heard of people using denim. They all work well. Basically, it's just heat and friction. Just go back over it. Not a lot of pressure, just repetition and building up that heat. You can feel it starting to get smoother, and it's almost, you hear it. See, that's starting to look pretty decent. I'll show y'all how the burnishing tool works. It helps round the corners over a little bit more. You don't want to put a whole lot of pressure because it will reshape it. There it is. It's not perfect, but it's functional. Edges look pretty good. nice and tight. I'm probably going to soak it in water to let it stretch out a little bit. I'm going to wrap the head in cellophane so water doesn't get to the axe and the handle. I'm going to get this nice and wet, soak it so it stretches and conforms to it, and it'll be done. Well, I got ahead of myself. I thought I was done, but I was going to put stitching in here. So I've set my dividers to the width that I want. I'm going to draw a line following the contour. Then I'm going to punch it and stitch it. Because these lines aren't straight, I would use as many teeth as possible to help create a straight line. But because it's curved all the way through, I'm just going to use 2 teeth and start punching. I'm going to start off of it. Actually, I might be able to, I'm going to punch. Make sure it's straight up and down. Bounce you all around a little bit. Check, make sure it's gone through the back side, and it has. Line the first tooth up with the last hole and repeat the process. There it is. The hatchet sheath for my dad's Boy Scout hatchet. I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. For my first axe or hatchet sheath, it's not too bad. It's actually got me wanting to get back into doing some more leather work. So that means I got to order some more leather. Well, right on. I appreciate y'all tuning in and watching this short little video. Hopefully it'll be short. And until next time, get out there, save something from being forgotten, and live a big life.